Welcome, sir.
Good evening,
Welcome, Prince.
everybody.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening.
Thank you. Welcome, sir. It's a pleasure having you here live at Share with Inborn channel. Thank you, sir, for bringing out your time. So quickly, we let me just round up so that you take it up from here. The man, Dr. Prince Alon, is a man I respect so much. He's a man, he's a father, so he will be able to also speak to us from the point of view of a father. He's a special person. He's a figure to reckon with. In fact, he's someone everybody runs to when they have one question or the other, especially in the area of potential, people that want to do one or two important things here. They normally run to him to go and to see if they can pick his brain, ask him one or few questions. And he has always been playing this guiding role, helped a lot of people to find their feet here in the city of Padova, Italy. And so when we are talking about this kind of topic, I thought it would not be good to leave him out of it. That's why I begged him and he gave me his time and his word that he'll be here, and here he is today. So, Dr. Prince, there is a speech you made about 18 years ago that left an impression in my life. In that speech was a wedding a ceremony. You were the chairman in that wedding, and when you were giving the opening speech, you said something where the topic of your speech that day, I remember it vividly, was, where does marriage begin? I don't know if you can remember. That was the topic. Where does marriage begin? So when you asked that question, it was in the beginning of a new marriage. So you asked, where does marriage begin? And then you answered it, that marriage does not begin when you have all the money. Marriage does not begin where you build all the houses you want to build. Marriage does not begin when you bought all the cars or when you have gotten everything ready. Marriage begins when two right people meet. That is where the way you define it. And that thing, that I was still a young man, like 18 years ago, but it left an impression in my life. And ever since then, it was a guiding principle that even guided me until when I got settled down in life. So today is not an accident that we have you here to talk about potential and potential of our children. So you take it up away from here. The first question I would like to ask, sir, is, do you agree, sir, that parents have a great role to play in helping to shape the destiny, or helping to discover the destinies of their, or potential of their children? Do you agree, sir?
Exactly. Well, the word parents. Yeah, well, I was saying that parenthood is actually the act of guiding, being a guardian. And then the fact that you're a parent is just because you're the biological father or mother. So the parenthood is the idea of guiding your child in their growth system until they become capable of guiding themselves. You hear me now?
Okay.
Yes. Now, when we talk about potential, we know that potential is something that is inborn in everybody. In pidgin language, we say it's follow come.
Follow come. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Something that came with you is inbuilt.
Inborn. Yes, sir.
Until you activate it,
yes.
You'll never be able to know what you have or
yes,
how
sir.
to use it.
Yes, sir.
It's like a hidden treasure.
Yes, sir.
That remains untapped.
Yes, sir.
Until you discover and put it to use.
Yes, sir.
So now we say that everybody is positioned in the chain of life. We all have a role to play. The greatest business you can do is to solve an existing problem. When you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a business to do in life, you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to solve a problem. And the moment you solve that problem, money will follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
formal education is essential.
Mm-hmm.
We go to school as a formality to learn how to live, how to interact with other children, and
Yeah.
follow the syllabus. But often, gifted children may never fit in the syllabus of the school. So we need to pay particular attention when they are growing up. Sometimes you may see a child that is not performing excellently in the school, but because what the teacher is talking about, she's already reasoning beyond her age mates. So there
Yes.
are certain traits you need to observe in a child to know if he has a potential that you need to watch out for that is not common in other children. You know, when a
Mm-hmm.
child learns rapidly,
Mm-hmm.
other people are still learning to count A, B, C, D, and it's already reading to Z, and it's
Mm-hmm.
already counting to 100. You should know that this child needs a particular attention because he cannot continue to grow at the same pace
With
other
others.
children are growing.
Yes, sir.
Now, sometimes you check their vocabulary, they already have extensive vocabulary. They're already making complete sentences when other children are still babbling with simple words. That's
Mm-hmm.
another indication that this child has a potential, you know.
In this area.
Sometimes you discover that they have excellent memories. They
Mm-hmm.
remember things very easily. You told them a story, tomorrow you're telling the same story and they tell you where you made a mistake. That yesterday you said this, but today you're
Yes.
saying this.
Yes.
That's a point that the child is very attentive and is growing more rapidly than her age mates.
Okay.
So now you now see that those kind of kids, they start reasoning with you very early in life,
Mm-hmm.
and that reminds you of the relationship God wants to have with man when he said in Isaiah, come now, let us reason together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we tend to distance the children, but even at that tender age, when you
Yes.
notice that they have become capable of reasoning,
Yes.
when you talk with them, you should pay attention at the things you say because
Yes.
they're beginning to reason like adults.
Yes.
And you also have to give them that credibility,
Yes.
to be
In
able to
fact.
reason with them.
Yes, sir. Yeah. In
Now,
fact.
when you see kids that have compassion for
Mm-hmm.
other kids, it's
Mm-hmm.
already an addition, that they are leaders, they are potential leaders, because
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they realize that other kids are having some disadvantages or they have
Challenges.
compassion
Yes.
for them
Mm-hmm.
is a sign that these children are actual leaders. They can do much better than
Mm-hmm.
other children.
Wow.
Now, when you see children with high learning potentials, you know, they often have high cognitive abilities.
Okay.
When you are discussing with them, you discover that the things they are saying does not actually belong to their age mate, and they often want to associate with children older than them.
Than them.
Yes. When my second daughter was growing up, she was always having difficulties associating with kids in her own
Of
class.
her age.
Her
Mm-hmm.
friends were the friends of her senior sister,
Sister.
of the elder sister. So
Yes,
these
sir.
are things that you notice in children that makes you know that they are, you know, when they now
Yes.
start looking at their sister, they want to compete, they want to score the same grade, they want to be
Yes.
the first in the class. These are things that will now make you look into their future and see that if it is possible, get them an extra help. Let them
Okay.
studying more than their age mates.
Okay.
If it was in some countries like Nigeria and America, you see that those kids are capable of jumping classes. In Europe, it's not allowed. You still have to
Yes.
stay with your
Okay.
classmates. But then you see that in other countries you see children of 15 years that are already graduates.
Okay,
They
sir.
have potentials, and this potential, the parents helped to tap into them by helping them jump those classes and go ahead of their age mates.
So that also reminds me of the that fact that we should not only be thinking of maybe the academic side, we should also look at some children who like to do some other things, like some want to draw. Maybe their area of passion is like in this area of arts. Okay, so
Exactly.
you look it
When
out
you
and
talk about that, yeah, when you talk about that, that takes me to the advice of the teacher in Ecclesiastics.
okay.
You know, Solomon said, "Do sow your seed in the morning, and
Mm-hmm.
in the evening do not let your hand be idle."
Well,
In those days, the seed was for the farmers because 95% of men were farmers. Today, the seed we sow is our job,
yeah.
and the work is your talent.
Mm-hmm.
So you use your job to develop your talent because
Okay.
your talent often pays more than your job. Your
Yeah.
job is something you're compelled to do because you are paid a salary.
Yes, sir. That's the
So if you
point.
don't have a good starting, you're encouraged to use your job to develop your talent.
Your talent.
Likewise, as we nurture our kids, you make sure that they enroll in different things. You test
Okay.
them in sports, you test their talent, you make them learn a skill. And then, if you notice that they are inclined to a particular thing, like sports, like music, like football, then you have to know that that is their work, that is their talent.
Mm-hmm.
You now invest in developing that talent.
Yeah.
So the moment they excel, if you excel in your work becomes more important than your job. People that remain in their job are people that we are not taught that they have a talent. Now, when you are doing a job, you're working for somebody. You are working on somebody's mission.
Yeah.
Somebody has a passion, a dream, a vision, and you're working to develop someone else's vision. You're not working to
Yeah.
develop your own. But when you have your own vision, that becomes your work.
Okay. Sorry
And
to
if you
interrupt you,
develop
sir.
that vision, it will
Yes.
pay you much more than your job. And also, you are doing something you like.
Yes.
Imagine a footballer that is just going to play, and you are
Yes.
spending money to go and watch him.
We have, yes.
Imagine a musician
If,
that is
if,
playing music and you spend $100 to go and watch him.
yes. In
You know,
fact,
imagine a sports person, uh, Hussein Bolt, never
symbols.
discovered his talent until he was 18 years old.
Wow.
He was just walking about and doing menial jobs and going to school until somebody, made a joke and said, "But with all these your long legs,
Mm.
you're not doing anything," and started coaching him. In
Wow.
less than 5 years, he made a fortune for life.
Yes.
So these
In,
are the things, the hidden
in
potentials
fact,
that are
in fact, when you
inside,
were talking,
that when we encourage them, these things explode and they
yes.
come out.
In fact, when you
Just
were
like
talking, okay.
just like we were saying, it is important. Well, if you want your son or your daughter to be a doctor, it's a dream you have. But you also have to know what is their own dream. What is
Yes.
it that they want to do that will make them happy in life? But don't just leave them to do it because sometimes they may be carried away.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing stops you from intervening once in a while to ensure that the road they are following is
Is the
leading them
right
to
one.
somewhere. Because sometimes a
Yes.
kid might say, "Well, it's my life, it's my passion," but it's not true often. If you don't follow up with them, they might get derailed along the line. And before
Yes.
you know it, you have lost both the
Wow.
educational part and the talent.
In fact, it reminds me of I saw a clip of the CFO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he said it. All the truth. He just poured it in some few sentences. He said you can have he said you can have a job, you can have a career, and you can have a calling.
Mm-hmm.
He said all of them can pay you, but the one that pays the more is your calling.
That's
That
right.
if you discover your calling, you have hit the jackpot because now you're working and the work doesn't feel like working. And I recall that calling, sometimes we misunderstand it. When they say someone has a calling, people will
Of
think it's
course, we
just to
think
be
of
a
altar.
pastor. People
Yes.
will just say, when they
Your
say
calling
someone
can
has a
be in your
calling,
job.
it's
You
like
can
you
become
must be a
a nurse.
pastor, a preacher.
Yes.
The calling is your potential, it's your
Yes.
area of
Right.
strength. It's a thing you feel uncomfortable with when it's going wrong. It's a question you need to address or a solution you can create. So let's not always think that when we mention the word call. In fact, that opened my eye because I said, if this thing can be coming out of this man's mouth, who is one of the largest employer of labor, he's the one telling this truth that you can have a calling, you can have a career, you can choose a job, a career, or a calling, but that the best is calling if you discover it. So it's our potential we need to discover. Even adults can also discover their potential too, not only children, sir. Me now, as I'm talking to you, it was after age 40 that I started searching inward to ask to discover where I have this passion. After 40 years, I got an awakening and I asked myself, what have I been doing with my life for the past 40 years? That was when I began to ask questions and begin to search within and discovered that I have this passion to motivate people. Okay, but so that takes me to another question that I would love to ask you, sir. So it's almost that you've touched all those areas, but I want to ask it specifically for record purposes so that the parents that are on watching can listen to it and follow those guidelines. So are there specific things or role fathers or mothers should perform to help to push or push out the potential or talents of their kids? Are there specific
Definitely.
things they could
Definitely.
do?
There's what we call impartation. When you
Impartation.
go to a preacher and he says he wants to do impartation, it means he wants
Yes.
to transfer
Yes.
something to you.
Yes.
Now, kids are like the same experience you have in the church with a great pastor that wants to give you impartation. It's the same. You see, the nuclear existence of man is the family.
Yeah.
So it's in the family that this impartation onto the kids
Yeah.
begins. Whatever they have to be in life starts with the background, the foundation. Any foundation, he said, teach a child the way
The
he
way you
should
should
go.
go. Yeah.
When he
That's
grows up, he will
Proverbs.
prosper.
Yeah, it's already.
Now,
Yeah.
what are the basic things you need to impact on your children? First, among equals is honesty.
Honesty.
When you teach a child that he has to be honest,
Yeah.
no matter the situation, both in dealing with other people, both in relationship with other humans, do unto others as you would like them to do to you.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah. Honesty.
Whatever you are doing, do not take the shortcut. Because sometimes people think that not being not being honest could earn them something, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, second is trust. You know,
Trust. Mm.
your children have faith when they are growing up. You see that they are mimicking you. They are
Yeah.
copying what you're doing. They
Mm.
say what you say.
Yeah.
Now I have to raise my voice because my daughter in Brazil says she's not hearing me clearly. Now another thing, as I was saying, is trust.
Yes, sir.
trust is the direct explanation of what we call faith in God. If we
Yes.
learn to define faith as absolute trust, that is
Trust.
when you understand what faith is all about.
Mm.
So children see you as a role model
Yeah.
and they try to copy you,
Yeah.
you know. And by copying you, of course, you have to be very attentive in the
Yeah.
things you do, the things you say. I
Yeah.
was on the bus one day and a child was calling me a negro, a negro. And the mother was trying to cover the mouth. So I started laughing. I said, don't cover the child's mouth. I'm not offended. He can say anything he wants because he is speaking what he learned from you. The child didn't learn it anywhere. That
Yes.
means that is what you say at home. So it's
Yes.
needless covering the child's mouth in
Mouth
public.
now in the public.
When he
Yeah.
goes home, he's still like that.
Mhm.
You have to educate yourself and
Yes.
know what you're saying. Then
Yes.
another thing is patience. You know,
Patience.
he said, good things come to those who learn to be patient. Because
Mm.
often we are always in a hurry. So teaching a child the quality of being patient can help instill in them the feelings of independence and accomplishment.
Mm.
Another thing is responsibility.
Yeah.
You must start early to give them a sense of responsibility, teaching them how to become autonomous because you will not live with them forever.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that act of being responsible, especially with money, with their books, with their things, with the articles, the fact that you learn right from childhood how to be responsible, how to take care of yourself, even with your own clothes, goes a long way to show what you become in life.
Okay.
Then another one is empathy.
Empathy. Yeah.
You know, when a child is sensitive to the feeling of others, like I said before, it's
Yeah.
a sign of leadership.
Yeah.
It's a sign that that child is positioned to be a leader
Yeah.
because he understands the feelings of other people.
Others.
Sometimes we also need to teach them how to balance the equation because often you might, out of empathy, forget yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, he said it is good to give, but the law says love your neighbor as yourself,
Yourself. Mm.
which means that first of all, you have to love yourself.
Yes.
Then you can love others. If you do not love yourself, it is difficult to love others. Just like Jesus said, how
Yes,
can
sir.
you claim you love God who you do not see when you
Mhm.
cannot love your neighbor or your
Yes.
brother?
I just
Then another one is self-reliance. That
self-reliant.
self-reliance is the potential that now comes up in them that they have to be self-confident, in the things they do when you inspire them to learn that even in times of difficulty, they can stand, they can resist, and they can count on how they can help themselves.
Yes,
It is
sir.
not always that when you have a problem, a child has to also learn to deal with the problem. Most times we run away from problems. The problems come to everybody, both the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, sir.
Problems come. But the important thing is that you have to learn to climb the mountain. Don't wish the mountain away.
Okay.
Sometimes we pray and pray that you should remove this mountain. No, climb the mountain. Because by climbing that mountain, you learn the ropes. And when you
Yes.
learn the ropes, the moment you get on top of that mountain, your level will change.
Mm.
Then the last but not the least, which often we confuse in religion, is teaching the children to be meek.
To be
Sometimes
meek.
people see meekness, they confuse it with weakness.
Okay.
Being meek is not weakness.
Mm.
Being meek is the ability not to be offended and not to offend.
Okay.
The ability to resist when people criticize you wrongly, avoid getting offended. Because the moment you get offended, the other person feels the satisfaction that he has offended you. But the moment you learn not to get offended easily and not to offend in retaliation, your life becomes a totally different thing.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much for this point.